Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. Family stories have a way of turning into legends, and one of the most common legends you'll hear in genealogy circles is this one. Our ancestor came through Ellis Island, and the clerks changed the family name because they couldn't spell it. It's a dramatic picture, isn't it? Ships crowding New York Harbor. Exhausted travelers clutching their suitcases, their entire lives packed into a few bags. An official at a desk, impatiently scribbling down a new name that supposedly changed a family forever. But here's the truth. Ellis Island clerks did not change names. The real story is less theatrical and far more interesting. It tells us something about how myths form, how families adapt, and where the actual records are hiding. To understand it, you have to look at how Ellis Island really worked. Ellis Island opened in 1892 as the main federal immigration station in New York Harbor. It stayed open until 1954, and in that time, more than 12 million immigrants passed through its halls. The station was designed to process enormous numbers of people every day. At its busiest in 1907, over 1 million newcomers came through in a single year, more than 3,000 a day. Given that volume, Ellis Island ran like a machine. Immigrants lined up with their ship tickets and papers in hand. The first thing officials checked was the passenger manifest, which had been created long before these families ever saw the Statue of Liberty. That manifest was written by the steamship companies in Europe. When an immigrant bought a ticket, the company's agent took down their name, age, occupation, and origin. Those details became the official record of who was sailing. If you weren't on the list, you didn't get on the ship. The United States government fined companies heavily if they transported people not properly recorded, so those manifests were taken seriously. When immigrants arrived at Ellis Island, the clerks didn't sit there inventing names. Their job was to compare the passenger to the list. If a name didn't match, it didn't mean the clerk got creative. It meant there was suspicion. Was this the same person? Were they hiding an illness? Were they trying to sneak into the country under another identity? The process was about verification, not reinvention. So where did the idea of name-changing clerks come from? The myth spread because real name changes did happen, but they happened later, and for different reasons. Many immigrants simplified or anglicized their names once they settled in America. The pressures to do so were real. Employers often favored workers with easy English names. Children in school were teased. Anti-immigrant prejudice was rampant. For some, changing Giovanni to John or Schmidt to Smith opened doors to opportunity or simply made daily life easier. Language barriers also played a role. Transliteration, the act of moving from one alphabet to another, often caused names to shift. A surname written in Cyrillic or Polish orthography rarely had a neat English equivalent. The same name might look one way in Russian records, another way in German records, and a third way in English. On top of that, clerical variations were everywhere. Even before Ellis Island, local officials spelled names phonetically. If your great-grandfather introduced himself in thickly accented English, the spelling might change from one record to the next without anyone intending it. The Ellis Island story gave families a neat way to explain it. Instead of unraveling decades of small changes, they could point to a single dramatic moment, a clerk's pen stroke. It was tidy, memorable, and easy to tell around the dinner table. But the evidence shows the real changes happened in other places. Naturalization courts often recorded both old and new names, sometimes even listing known aliases. Employers had their own reasons for simplifying names on paperwork. Teachers and clergy wrote what they thought they heard, introducing gradual shifts. And most commonly, families themselves just started using a new spelling or translation until it became permanent. The examples are everywhere. Take a Hungarian man named János Kovács. On the ship manifest, his name is written exactly that way. 10 years later in Detroit, he's recorded as John Kovács on the census. By the time his children are grown, the family name is shortened to Koch. None of that happened at Ellis Island. It unfolded in everyday life. Or consider the German family Schwarzkopf. They arrived in New York with their name intact. But after World War I, when anti-German sentiment was high, they began using black instead. The change was a survival tactic, a personal decision, not an official decree. So how do you trace these shifts when you're building a family tree? Start with the passenger manifest. Many are digitized on sites like Ancestry, Family Search, and ellisisland.org. These documents show the name as it was recorded at departure. Then check naturalization papers. These often reveal the point of change, with both old and new names listed. City directories are another treasure. They show when a family began using a new version of their surname. Census records, compared decade by decade, can let you watch the transformation unfold across time. And don't forget to search variant spellings. Think phonetically. Kwiatkowski might appear as Kwiatkowski, Kwiatkowski, or even Kwiatkowski. A single family might be scattered across the records under half a dozen versions of their name. The Ellis Island myth has stuck around because it captures an emotional truth, even if the paperwork says otherwise. Immigration was about balancing Old World heritage with New World survival. The government didn't force these changes, but American life often did. Families shortened names to succeed in business, switched spellings to blend with neighbors, or translated surnames into English. These weren't mistakes. They were choices, sometimes painful, sometimes strategic, that shaped identity in a new land. So instead of imagining a clerk at Ellis Island casually erasing your ancestors' past, picture your family making decisions, big and small, about how to adapt. Ellis Island didn't change names. People did. And that truth tells a richer story than the myth ever could. Each version of a name is a chapter of the immigrant experience. When you research, don't just chase the real spelling, follow the name's journey. That's where the deeper history lies. If you've got a hard-to-find ancestor you're stuck on, I'd love to hear about it. Just head over to ancestralfindings.com and click on Contact to send me a message. While you're there, take advantage of our free weekly genealogy lookups. Explore thousands of articles and enjoy hundreds of podcast episodes. We've been helping family history researchers since 1995. And if you're looking for even more, check out our Genealogy Gold Q&A series over on Patreon. Thanks for listening. And as always, happy searching.